Welcome to Chapter 3 of the chapters about my Laguna tank. So, Chapter 3 is all about the filters, so I'm going to spend this chapter talking through the two filters I've got on this tank, the media that's in them, and the cleaning regime that I take them through. So I hope you enjoy this and find this informative. So let's start with the first filter. The first filter is the Rena XP3 filter. So that's a canister filter that I've got on the tank. Quite a high throughput. And a good amount of media in there. Media basket is really flexible, and this is the favourite of the two filters. It seems to be the one that draws the most material into it. So in the bottom tray I've got two coarse foams and two fine films, and the top two trays are full of biomaterial, that being the Seachem matrix and some bio rings that came, I think, probably with the filter itself some time ago. So that's the media I've got in it. So let's have a look at the filter. I've just taken it off the tank, it hasn't been cleaned for about a month, so you can see there's various bits of crud in the filter, and so we'll go through and give that a clean. So top basket, I'm lifting at the moment, that is full of biomaterial, so I'll put that to one side, and you can see there this is the sort of rubbish that builds up inside this filter. All of that dissolves in water, so it's all water soluble, so you can actually remove it all quite easily. That's the second basket, again full of biomedia, so we'll put that to the side as well. And then finally, the last basket is full of those two foams. Don't generally use a polishing foam on this. I find it clogs the filter and slows the flow rate, and I'm much more interested in getting a high flow rate. See all the rubbish in the water there, so I shall pour that straight down the sink. As you can see, further down you get the filter, the worse it gets. Now I'm going to rinse out the pads in fresh water, so for that reason I'm just going to give it a quick rinse with fresh water, just get rid of the rubbish that's in there. I will, of course, when I rinse the biomaterial media, I will fill it up with tank water, but that's just really to get the crud out the bottom and get that clean. So let's have a bit of a look at the media. That's the foam pads. I'll take those out and we'll look at those in a minute and see how much rubbish has built up on those. I'll just adjust the camera slightly. Let's have a look at the biomaterial media. So we've got two baskets full of this. Two types of media in there. These are the rings that came with it. So they're just ceramic rings, good surface area. And this is the Seachem biomaterial, which apparently has nitrite and nitrate bacteria capability, so not sure how good it is, but we've got the nitrate reactor as well. Right, let's have a look at the foam pads. So these are the fine foam, so these are 30 ppi foams, so I've got two of those. You can see the crud that's built up on those, quite a lot around the edges as it tries to bypass the foam filters. And at the bottom we've got the slightly coarser 20 ppi pores per inch foams, so there's two of those, and of course the very bottom one, on the bottom of that you get all the rubbish building up on that, so there's loads of rubbish on there. I'll rinse all of these in fresh water to get them nice and clean, so that's what I'll do now, and you'll see as I squeeze the water through those, give them a good rinse through, see all the rubbish coming off. I tend to rinse these until the water runs reasonably clean, or I get it completely clean. And I've replaced them, I suppose, once a year is probably how often I do that. I won't show you every single one, but essentially do the same thing and end up with 4 very nice clean pads. Coarse ones going first, so 2 coarse ones in there. Switch off the tap, got that. And then the 2 fine ones at the top. So that's that basket clean and ready to go. Right, so I'll put that over to one side, and what I'll do now is get some tank water, and I tend to use the actual filter casing for the next bit, so I'll go and get that. That's full of tank water. Put the biomaterial in, give it a good shake around, and what I do is I'll rinse each of these in different turns. So this time that basket's going first, this one goes second, so this one never gets quite as clean as the one that I rinse first, and next time I clean it I'll swap that round, so they always get at least one of those becomes quite clean, and you'll see that later on when I put them back in. You'll see that one's not quite as clean as the other, but they're clean enough, and I don't want to disturb the bacteria too much. So pull that away. You can see actually a fair amount comes out of there, and that's probably because I'm not using that polishing pad like I say, I'm really looking for the slightly higher flow rate on this. So then it's time to put it all back together again. So nice and simple. They go straight down the bottom, got in nicely. When you put the next ones in, you've got to be a little bit careful to make sure they all lock together. So this is the biomaterial in the second basket. So you can see that's actually quite full. And again, just a bit of fiddling just to get it locked in, so they're tightly locked into the flow goes around the edges and up through the baskets. And then this last one, which you can see is much cleaner than the previous one, and that's because I rinsed that first. So that's all in. And then I put the separator just to make sure they don't float up, and the top on. And that's essentially that filter all nice and clean. Really quite simple. Also going to clean the impeller, so that's the impeller. You just lift it out the top. There's a little cover that goes over the top, so take that out. That's the impeller cover. Again, it can get quite badly blocked up, so it's again worth doing those regularly. I do them with every clean. So let's look at the Fouval 306 canister filter. Apparently slightly higher output, it consumes more power, has less volume. Again, good filter, but not as pleased with this as I am with the XP3. Both of the filters, by the way, are absolutely silent when they're running, so really nice and quiet, so really pleased with that. So this one's not quite as flexible. You've got 4 foam pads, 2 bio pads, and then we've got chambers full of the biomedia. The pads are fairly fixed, so you can't do so much fiddling around with them, and you'll see when I pull the filter apart in a second how it's all put together. So the foam pads, the white foam pads, are in the red bit, so I'll take that out first. So again, you're really limited by using the quarter pads or cutting pads that would fit this little container. So this is where the water flows in first, and it comes out that little sort of brown circle at the top. So these get quite badly built up. This filter never seems quite as clogged up, so it makes me think the flow rate's actually a bit slower through this filter than it is for the other one. So again, same as I did with the XP3, rinsing them all in fresh water. I suppose the good thing about these is they're white, so you can see as they degrade over time, and then you can think about replacing them. So all given a nice clean through. You can see it takes less time on these because in fact they're not quite as dirty. So let's put that to one side, and let's have a look at the biomedia and the other 2 foams, the sort of finer foams which are right at the bottom. So top 2 baskets full of biomedia. Quite nice, I suppose, these ones, because they are separated in half. You can't take those dividers out; they're fixed. So that's just how it works on this filter. Again, you can see the rubbish that's built up in here. And again, no polishing pads in here. The pads that I'm bringing out, the black ones, are quite fine, though they're quite bulky, so they do a reasonable job. But some stuff does get through to the biomedia. Good, right? So I'll put that to one side, and I'll use that to rinse out the media in a second. So there's the pads coming out. You can see that they've got quite a bit of crud on them still. So same as the white ones that I did before, just give them a really good rinse through until they start coming through clean, and give the box a good rinse through, so that's all done. There we are. Right. So let's have a quick rinse through of the biomedia. I can always forget to turn the tap off. So let's have a look at that. That's the main pads going in. So slide those in. They go in quite nice and firmly. Then go in the finer pads. They go in the bottom. So these take a little bit of fiddling to get them in. So in they go. Sometimes it's easier to put the others in the other direction, but I wanted to show you how the sort of filter is building up through the different areas. So this is the way the water flows through. And then we're into the biomedia. So again, you can see that's quite nice and clean. And again, so I swap over which ones I rinse first, and that's the Seachem media again that you can see in there. So that drops in quite nicely. They fit in better than they do in the XP3 filter. And again, I've got a few rings in there. As well as the Seachem stuff. I can't get this camera to focus on that, but it's exactly the same ring as we had before. So that drops in to the top, and then there's the whole filter in place. So and that's everything done. Other maintenance, so I clean those monthly. The pipes, I clean those through weekly, so I blow air through the pipes that feed the 2 filters because they can get clogged up, and I change a third of the water in the tank every 2 weeks. So next chapter, we chapter 4, lighting setup. So hope you can join me for chapter 4, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks very much. Bye.